Good afternoon and welcome to this. It's a new series that we have, right? It's August and in South Africa, it's Women's Month, but we're going to have this series beyond just August. So we also thought we would like to shine a light on the ShePreneurs or the sisters doing business for all of us. And in this particular series, we are partnering with CEDA, which is a small enterprise development agency here in South Africa. And then I'm also joined by my good friend, Dr. Ajira Mashego, who will be a co-host. So she is the founder and CEO of Fitness Junction. So I'm really excited about this series. And so let's maybe talk a little bit about women in business, the ShePreneurs. It turns out actually that Angola, and we have a good friend from Angola here, that's where you get the most common entrepreneur actually being female. So that's a great thing. And this is what this report actually says. So necessity-driven entrepreneurial activity. Sometimes we call that survivalist, but that's very important. That's a good start right there. And then surprisingly, places like Panama, at least in these countries, 43 countries, Panama is actually more entrepreneurial in terms of innovation than say the US, Germany, you know, the kind of usual countries that you would expect. And why do women become entrepreneurs? For various reasons: to support a family member, creative thinking, for social status and personal identity. Interestingly, a lot of them want to be role models to other women. So we are hoping that this afternoon you will get to meet some of these role models. I like this one, to help government, because government definitely needs a lot of help, and especially from women. They just are more organized. I mean, if you just look at how New Zealand has managed Corona, the COVID crisis, compared to places that are led by men, then you can say, yeah, we probably need more women. And then to face new challenges. So all sorts of reasons. Actually, those would be the reasons that men or people in general become entrepreneurs. In terms of the She Innovators, and we will hear from the Innovation Hub, it's interesting that actually when you look at a lot of countries, there is no difference in entrepreneurial activity between male and female. So all of us are, entrepreneurial, whether you're male or you're female. And in Africa, it's, 22, 23%, no distinct difference. And pretty much across the world, it seems to be below 30. Ownership of companies around the world. So women, and this is good, they are mostly in services, but also in manufacturing and across. This is a study they did in Bangladesh. And in Bangladesh, they asked women, they looked at women in the sectors that they're in. Agro-processing, very interesting there, handicrafts, boutique, cloth business, stationery, and others. And this might be not very different from most low and middle income countries. And then one of the drivers of, or at least facilitating elements of people getting into business is obviously access to financial services, which across most of Africa is low. And this is a static picture. So you will find here that in South Africa, only about 70% male and female have access to financial services. Lesotho, and we'll talk about Lesotho. We've got a presenter there. Mauritius, as always, leads the pack. Interesting to see that Namibia is also, fairly good at increasing access to finance. So when you have access to finance, you can at least grow your business. An interesting statistic is that 48% of the GDP in South Africa comes from women. South African population of women is 51%. So one would have wanted this to be at par. And then in terms of women suffer more unemployment than men in South Africa, at least according to a 2018 report. And with COVID, this might also become worse. What are the barriers to becoming entrepreneurs? They are numerous. Unfortunately, we don't have enough literature, actually, enough research in Africa. So you find I've cited Bangladesh, and now this is India. So in India, cultural practices are barriers. Physical abuse seems to be, and then lack of health services. So, women struggle to get health services, so they miss a lot of work or work days. And in that case, then they might be that they can't set up their own enterprises. Education is an issue. I would hasten to say this might be quite reflective of Africa as a continent. As you know, the population of Africa as a continent is almost or slightly more than that of India. And I was joking with some Indian friends recently and saying, Africa is the second biggest or most populous country in the world. Because everybody believes Africa is a country rather than 54 countries. This, as you know, is our calendar. So we have a huge focus because we are Pharma Connect. So we have a huge focus on biotech and food. But today we thought, okay, let's step out of our zone a little bit. So for this webinar and the next one in 2 weeks will be ShePreneurs, and then in future we'll have similar ones. So I'm really excited about this. And with that, I'd like to welcome my good friend, Hajira. Over to you, Hajira, and she will be our host for this afternoon.
Okay, I'm Hajira, as David has said, and I'm the founder and CEO of Fitness Junction. And our focus is mainly on peri-urban and rural commercial gyms. So what we actually aim to do is to scale all over South Africa and hopefully into Africa, establishing gyms in areas that the usual multinational gym providers would not go. So if a gym provider like Virgin Active, for example, they would stay in Joburg, Pretoria, Durban, for example, here in South Africa, maybe Maseru in Lesotho, but we want to go deeper into all those areas which are not really of interest to them. So that's our key focus area, commercial gyms, and we also provide corporate gyms, which would be the gyms where a company or an SMME or a government department would want to set up for their employees as a value offering for the employees. So they would tell us what their needs are, and we then set up a gym that suits the needs of their employees and the size of the company as well. Then our last offering is home gym products. So anyone who would like to have a bespoke offering in their house with home gym products, we can then go in and set up a beautiful gym for them. And give them maintenance services and also gym services as well, as in programs and that type of thing. So it becomes a tailor-made type of solution. So we started operating in 2018 in Danville, Pretoria West. and things are going well so far. And I'm actually currently in the process of establishing the Fitness Junction franchise, so that when we scale, we can scale easily through a network of gyms organically, and also have franchises that we can then establish all over wherever the need arises and wherever there is a franchisee that's interested. So that's me in a nutshell. Should you want to contact us or look at my profiles, there we are. I'm not going to read it back to you. You can check us on Facebook or in Instagram, or even email me directly if you would like to know anything about gym services that we can provide. So I'm not going to talk much about myself, because today it's not really about me. We are here to really listen to the speakers who are going to empower us. And the first speaker is Ms. Mandisa Maseko, who is from SEDA. She will explain to us more about what she does, and she's going to talk to us about SEDA STP offerings, as she's a SEDA project specialist, and she deals with quality and standards. Following her, we will then, I'll come back again and introduce Dr. Putu Chilopo Mgoboza, who is from the Innovation Hub here in Pretoria, and she will also speak to us about how they are supporting people like myself and many other ShePreneurs on the forum, and how we can maybe, tap into them and ask them for assistance and guidance. So that will be two big, very interesting discussions. I'll then come back and introduce the case studies. I'll go through them later on. So that's it for now. So if we can go to the SEDA presentation, please, Mandisa. And then after that, we'll then go through, and I'll come back and introduce next speaker.